My apartment is really tiny. And there's 3 of us here. This is probably going to be the shortest video on my channel ever because there's not a lot to see, but I'm moving out soon to a little bit bigger of a house. So I figured this is the best time to make Japan's most popular videos. My tiny Japan house tour. I'm gonna start us off with the room I hate the most. And it's not because I hate this room specifically, it's because I love cooking and it's near impossible to do in here. Before you move to Japan, you always hear like the kitchens are, I'm gonna say small. Small doesn't feel like it quite does it justice though. I can barely turn around. I can barely turn around. Oh, okay. So this right here is my fridge. Since moving here from Canada, one of the main things I had to get used to was very frequent grocery shopping. A lot of people who live here will do that anyways, even if they have a normal size fridge. I'm still trying to get used to it. It seems rather frustrating to buy not in bulk because I feel like I'm wasting money, but I make do. I make do. Over on this side, you have my stove, and this is another reason why I dislike this room, because I love to bake. And guess what I can't do? So in Japan, a lot of smaller places, especially rental apartments like what I'm in right now, you get the fish grill. The fish grill is something I have yet to master. I can't quite figure it out. I think it works more like a broiler. Like it just kind of crisps the top. You can't really bake anything in here. Even if you could find something that would fit in there, like a single serve, you can't bake in this. It doesn't get the same uniform heat all through the little container. Then I have the 2 burners, and of course I just have my pots right on there because I don't have enough room. You can kind of notice up here I have like a bunch of cupboards, but problem number 2, I can't really reach them. So not too much goes up there, even though it's my only storage for this room. That's also why I got this guy for my spices. These are my dog's little lick mats. I did get the kind with the suction cups on the back so that I didn't have to worry about storage space. So on top of my fridge, I have a little microwave that also came with the apartment. And then I bought these off Amazon. So this is just different flavors of protein powder. I got these specifically because it's a lot easier than trying to reach up for the bags that are way in the top cupboard that I can't reach. So as like a thing I do every morning, it was so inconvenient. And then beside my fridge, I have this tiny little washer, which I'm going to say, I think it just makes things wet. It doesn't actually wash anything. If I do want something washed properly, I either have to do it in the bathtub, like the shower, or I have to go to a proper laundromat. This, everybody says online, it is the worst possible model, which makes sense that I have this in this little, which makes sense that that's the version I got in this little short-term rental. Obviously, they would go for the cheapest thing possible they could get. If you look into it, it doesn't have a thing in the middle, so it just kind of like pushes the water around and it doesn't actually scrub anything. So I really had to invest in some like good washing fluid just to kind of make up for that. And then with every load, I also have to put in baking soda, a tiny little bit of bleach, and then softener. Otherwise, my clothes come out just completely dirty but wet. So just to give you a full view of the kitchen here, without all the angles, it's just this tiny little hallway and then everything you need on the sides. So after you leave the kitchen, I have this little area, which is honestly where I spend most of my time if I'm not bed rotting on the other side of the room. This desk and this chair came with the apartment, again, because it's a short-term rental, a lot of the things are provided for you. This is the multi-purpose area right here. This is if I'm eating, if I'm studying, if I'm just watching YouTube videos, everything is done right here. I think this chair is the most funny thing for me because it came with this awful orange, like bright orange, terrible color, and so I just put like a really fluffy pillowcase over it. I don't know, like it makes me feel better. It makes me feel better. But this is just, I have all my writing stuff. I have all of my like Japanese study stuff, my laptop. This is the area. If you were to walk into my home, I'm probably here. I also have my little gaming consoles right beside the desk because there's no good place to put them. So whenever I want to play them, I just have to move them to the other side of the room and plug them in. And then right here is a little projector. So this apartment is also way too small for a TV because where would I put it? So when I want to watch TV or something, I will just hook that projector up on the other side of the room where my bed is and display it on this big wall right here. So it's kind of like the entire wall is my TV without it taking up too much space. The one downside about this is I can't watch TV during the day because it's too bright for a projector, but maybe that's an upside. Maybe that's an upside and I just don't know it. I can bed rot, but on a schedule. Moving over from my desk, I have this little area that serves absolutely no purpose except for to display the little things that I brought with me to Japan. So when I moved here, I had to throw out almost everything I owned and put a lot of stuff in storage because I couldn't possibly bring all those things and my 2 dogs. So this is the little things that I decided to keep. It's just very light items that I love. And then there's a couple books and a couple games. Yeah, this shelf I got at Nitori. It cost about 2,000 yen, I want to say, which is roughly 20 Canadian dollars. And then I have a tiny little bin right there. The tiny little bin is just my overflow of items that I brought that I didn't think would look pretty being displayed on a shelf, or random cords and controllers and things I don't really pick up every single day. That basket I got at Daiso and it was 500 yen, so about 5 Canadian dollars, very cheap. So it is a bit messy right now and I should probably organize it, but I'm moving soon, it's all gonna get packed, so too late. This little area here serves as my second kitchen, I'd like to say, and it's kind of where I keep the overflow of the kitchen because again, the cupboards are too high. So I have a little collection of alcohol, and then I have my kettle, my blender, and some dog treats right here. And then at the bottom, I just have it's a little pink stitch, but it doubles as a tissue dispenser. It looks like it's in a very inconvenient spot, and that's because it is, but it's on wheels. So if I ever need to move it or I need to move something big through here, I can just move it over. This I didn't know existed until I came to Japan and Go let me use it. This is something that just makes the air clean. You don't realize how important something like this is until you're in a space the size of a bathroom. I have 2 dogs, they're full of hair. I'm full of hair. We all have skin cells. If you didn't have a seasonal allergy before moving to Japan, now you do because there's pollen everywhere outside. So on top of having to vacuum, sweep, and do everything clean-wise every single day when I used to only have to do it about once a week in Canada, this does the extra work. So the light on top shows you what the air quality is in the room. So right now it's green. If I walk by this too much, it turns yellow. But it's pretty much just saying it's doing its job. So now you're sitting on top of my desk, and on the other side of the room, this is where my bed is. So you can kind of tell what I mean when I said I put the projector and the gaming system on that side to project onto this wall, because that's my only option for a television and entertainment. You can probably tell by the video, but maybe not because it's such a weird angle, but this is a twin bed. And then right beside my bed, I have the 2 dog beds, but they don't really use them. I think this bed is so small that they just assume this is their big bed. So in the bed, I also have laughable storage because obviously a dresser would not fit in here. These 2 are drawers right here, and then there's drawers on the sides. And then on the back of the bed, I keep these 2. These are the 2 remotes. So this one's for the lights that I put up around the apartment myself because there's no other lighting options other than the big punish light, and I hate having that on. And then the remote for my aircon in the corner. I will say one of the upsides of having such a tiny apartment, that one aircon is enough to heat and cool this entire room with very little electricity costs. This has nothing to do with the apartment, but I also want to share this because I think it's so fun. It's my dogs. So directly across from my bed, I have this little area. On this side is my closet. It's not really that big, and it kind of just holds all the things I used to move here. Like my suitcase and the dog's carriers take up most of the space in here. So despite my best efforts, it is always a mess in there. Also, one of the downsides to my closet being right here is if I want to open it, it completely blocks off any of the light from the main room. So I sometimes have to use my phone flashlight just to see what I'm trying to look for. I'm not 100% sure the purpose of this door. It's in a lot of apartments, and I think it gives them the excuse to say that my apartment is technically one separate room, but all it does is lead to the outside door. Welcome to the other side. So this is another really lame part about living in such a small place. The lighting is terrible. So this is a mini hallway, and in here we have nothing special. We have a little shoe closet right here, and then on this side we just have my little bathroom. I apologize, but I think the rest of this video is going to be pretty dark because the only proper light in this entire apartment is in the main room. Everything else has very old, very orange lighting. So this is my little bathroom area. In this room right here is where the toilet is, and then in that room right there is where my sink and my bath is. When I first moved in here, this was in the main room and this area was completely opened, but I have so much bathroom stuff, it made more sense to have this in here than to have this ugly thing out beside my bed. As you can see, it is a complete mess because I have way too much stuff and not enough area. Down here is mostly just my makeup and everything I would use in the bathroom, so deodorant, Q-tips, sunscreen, things like that. I got these little baskets from Daiso. They cost about 100 yen each, so I just got 3 because that's how many would fit there. Down below is all my towels and then clothing that's not dirty yet. I didn't wear it long enough. I probably wore it just to take the dogs out, so I put it there so that I can wear it later. I'm also doing a very awkward angle for this scene because this is so tiny, there is no place to put my tripod in here, so we're doing it POV now. All of this stuff is the stuff that I use almost daily, if not every few days. I have a lot of duplicates of things like sunscreen and face wash because I'm still trying out new stuff in Japan. I haven't found the products that I love yet. So that's why there's a little bit of everything right here. And then I have my Alexa. I don't want to say it because then she'll activate, but I listen to music when I'm in the shower, so I have one of those right here. I have another one in the kitchen I didn't show you for some reason, but they're connected, so anytime I play music, it plays throughout the whole house. So right when you enter this like little powder room, the toilet room is right here. This is another extremely small room, like I can just barely stand in it, and I think I got the only toilet in Japan that does not have a bidet on it. Up here, I do have a little bit of storage room that I keep cleaning supplies and paper towel and toilet paper and all those things. It's also very high and I can't reach it too well, but there is the toilet, so I just stand on the toilet. So that cupboard actually gets used, unlike the ones in the kitchen, because I can reach it with a little bit of effort. Over here beside the toilet, I just have a tiny little trash can, which I thought was adorable. Looks like a little pop can. I also got that from Daiso for 100 yen, and I just put all the empty toilet paper rolls in there, and then I just have the little beads in the corner for like a better smell, I guess. I don't know why there's an outlet. I don't know what that's for. I'd assume you have to plug in bidets because that's the only thing I can really think of. But yeah, so this is my tiny little toilet room. Last but not least is the bathroom. This is a very tiny bathroom. I'm just happy I got a tub, which I don't know if you can tell, but I am standing in right now. It's not a full-size tub, but because I'm only 150 centimeters, to me, it kind of is a full-size tub, so I'm pretty happy with it. In Japan, they call this 1-unit bath, and it's probably my least favorite type because everything's just right here, and it just makes this whole room feel very claustrophobic and very crowded. Also, when I first moved in, I had a different tap that I have put away in one of the closets, and it's the type that comes with the 1-unit bath, so I bought this separately on Amazon, and it costs I think 4,000 yen, and it's just so that I could actually have a proper shower because the one that was on there, the water pressure was garbage. It was not usable. I think the only redeeming quality of the 1-unit bath that I think is kind of fun is the fact that this one tap is for both. So you would just move it depending on if you want to brush your teeth or if you want to have a bath. I do like that there's a little door separating this room from the powder room because if you shut it, everything is sealed. So even outside of the bath, you could fully shower. Like everything in this room is supposed to get wet. So what I normally do is I bathe in here, but that's after I've taken the shower out here because there's also a drain under the sink. So this whole room can get wet, and that's kind of cool because that's not like in Canada at all. Like you're not supposed to get the whole room wet. So that was kind of fun when I first moved here and found that out. I think one of the major downsides to this room is on my lease, I'm not allowed to really change anything. So I can't put up any shelves or anything like that. So all of my stuff, all of my bathroom stuff is just on the floor and I have to pick it up as I need it. The one part I didn't show you guys is the balcony, but behind that curtain, I do have also a pretty big balcony that I hang up my clothes to dry, and then I'll also open this entire thing to get a lot of air in here when I wake up in the morning. So that was my laughably short apartment tour. What I have is called, I believe, a 1LK, which means one living room and kitchen, and that's it. So no bedroom. My bedroom is my living room. So normally in a Japanese apartment, you have to bring everything. You have to bring your own fridge, your own stove, your own washer. For apartments here, the big appliances don't come with the apartment. The tenant actually buys them, and when you move out, you bring them with you to your next place. So it's a little different from Canada, because in Canada, all the things are already there and the landlord owns them, and the landlord has to take care of them and everything like that. So since I was just moving here and I had nothing yet, I did opt for a place that, one, would let me have my 2 dogs, and 2, was all-inclusive so that I wouldn't have to worry about anything for my first place. So on top of the apartment, you have all the appliances, I didn't have to set up any bills. They're in the landlord's name, and then I just give them money for the bills. And I also didn't have to set up internet. So keep that in mind. Altogether, this apartment costs 130,000 yen per month, which is very expensive for a place this size, but when you consider all the things that I'm getting included in the apartment, it's pretty reasonable. I think for a small place like this, if you were to get a proper 2-year lease where you had to bring everything yourself, and for the location that I am in right in the middle of Tokyo, I think this place would normally be around 80,000 yen. So I'm definitely paying a premium for the dogs and all the stuff, but Toronto prices, I'm already used to high prices. When I moved in here, I did have to pay a couple fees. I only had a 6-month lease, which normally in Japan, the leases are around 24 months. So I didn't have to pay every single fee that comes with a normal apartment. I didn't have to pay a guarantor fee, I didn't have to pay a fire insurance fee, and I didn't have to pay key money. So the only fees that I did have to pay is the cleaning deposit, the pet fee, the last month's rent deposit, and the key exchange fee. So everything else was taken care of within the company that manages this place. To move into this place before we even got the keys was this much. And in total over the last 6 months was this. I think a regular Japanese person would think how much I'm paying for this place would be extremely high for what I'm getting. I'm okay with paying a little extra until I figure it out. The reason why I'm making this video now is because I'm actually moving into a house in June, so that's 2 weeks away. And the house that I'm getting is extremely different from the current place that I live, so I also want to do another house tour when I move in 2 weeks. But yeah, that's it. That's my apartment. Thank you for checking it out. This place was foreigner friendly, pet friendly, all-inclusive, foreigner bank friendly, which is very important because the way you pay your rent is determined by the landlord, and short-term visa friendly. So if you're coming to Japan on a working holiday visa or you don't want to commit to a 2-year lease, definitely look up monthly mansions and weekly mansions, because for a little extra money, you can get past a lot of the things that regular landlords might not be okay with or might completely write you off for, like some things. Okay, that's it. Okay, bye-bye.